Doche Dorji Damdullah for such a beautiful and enlightening talk. We have with us Shri Shakti Sinha Ji, who is the Director General of the International Buddhist Confederation. He is also the Honorary Director of the Vadodara-based think tank, the Atal Bihari Institute of Policy Research and International Studies, and the Honorary Director of the Delhi School of Public Policy and Governance. Earlier, he has been the Director of the Nehru Memorial Museum and Library in New Delhi. Shri Shakti Sinha Ji is a distinguished fellow at the India Foundation and at the Institute of National Security Studies in Sri Lanka. He holds a Master's in Public Policy from George Mason University and a Master's in History from Delhi University. He was a member of the Indian Administrative Services from the year 1979 to 2013. He has held positions at different levels at the union, provincial, and the local levels. Internationally, he headed the United Nations Governance and Development Team in Afghanistan, where he coordinated donor support to the Afghan government. Earlier, he was the senior advisor to India's executive director on the World Bank Board, representing Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Sri Lanka. He is the author of a recently published book, Vajpayee, The Years That Changed India. He has edited 8 books, the most recent one being on authoritative accounts of different facets of India-China relations, One Mountain, Two Tigers, India, China, and the High Himalayas. Shri Shakti Sinha Ji has also written many books, chapters, working papers, policy briefs, and columns on the political economy of India, the Indian foreign policy and strategic affairs, governance, and Afghanistan for both global as well as Indian publications. It's my pleasure to now invite Shri Shakti Sinha Ji to please give his concluding remarks.
To the Venerable members of the Sangha, the Honorable Vice Chancellor, deeply grateful to the Internal Self-Quality Assurance Unit of the Gautam Buddha University for inviting me. In fact, when I was asked to be director associate with the program, I was happy to do so, later realizing that meant speaking after Geshe-la. Now, after Geshe-la, there's not very much to say. But since you've asked me, I'll take just 2-3 minutes. I won't take more than that, Somewhere, something written to the words that the young today don't listen to the old. People's moral values are gone. They spend all their time in gambling, in alcohol. They're not working hard. Vice is there. Robbery, everything. Social values have broken down. Surely the world is coming to an end. Would it be written thousands of years ago in Rosetta Stone? Now, the reason I mention this is the fact that these tensions between leading an ethical life and straying for it for momentary pleasure, wanting pleasure immediately, letting the destructive emotions take over yourself, this is a perennial fight. The balance swings here and there. So it's not that it's like a magnet. You take a piece of iron, you can magnetize it, but you have to keep on magnetizing it again and again, otherwise it becomes demagnetized. So the need to reinforce is very, very important. Just attending one class a day once in a while is not good enough. But to me, far greater is to understand, and this is where the youth are important, to understand ethics and to understand organized religion or religious practices and rituals. Now, rituals, other practices, is one sense easier, and it is overtly supported by your fellow believers. I'm not discounting the value. In fact, I think this is very important. But this is my feeling, that merely rituals may not be enough to allow us to live a happy and productive life. You must feel it has to be productive. That's why, as Geshe-la said, you feel happy then. You're doing something. You get a sense of, and that comes from obviously serving and not thinking what I all the time. And I'll just quickly come back to that. Ethics, on the other hand, is above sectarianism. the reference now to universal ethics. It has to be ultimately self-driven. Yes, a good teacher really helps. Guidance really helps. As a magnet, every now and then you need that. Let's accept that. But ultimately, it is driven from inside. How can it be driven from inside? And I think this is where the older generation has a very important role. As teachers, running universities, employing people, in any form. In the sense, if I tell you, please be honest, work honestly, dishonesty is not acceptable, we will not allow corruption to happen. If I preach that, but it comes to actually appointing somebody for a job, or marking a paper, or giving the better piece of the meat to one child and not the other child, if I'm practicing bias, if I'm not being fair, if I'm not being transparent, if I'm not looking at merit, or if I don't make that extra effort to help the disadvantaged. See, equality doesn't mean everybody's equal. Equality means to get that opportunity. If I do that in real life and preach about being an ethical person, that preaching is completely hollow. So I think the need to align our teachings with our actual life is very important. Because when the people watch what is happening, they internalize it far better. Again, it's not to say that I think teachings are very required, because on our own there are limitations. They're not all people like Siddhartha Gautama who could sit under a tree and break through the barrier of Maya. We are not all of them. So therefore, the need to get teaching is important, but to link it up with this, and to, in that sense, get over our ignorance. The fact is, again to go back to Geshe-la, I mean, the mother, do we appreciate how much effort she has put into us? Do we appreciate the fact that we eat food, normal food, after this function you may have a cup of chai or eat something to eat. How many people whom you have never met, will never meet, have contributed to that meal? So, if you get understanding of that when you help somebody, it's easy to be compassionate to somebody you know, my brother, my sister, my parents, my uncle, my friends, my teacher. It is not always easy, but relatively easy. But to be helping somebody who you don't know, will never know, that gets a feeling that, yes, you get a sense of balance. But ultimately, we are, to quote Einstein, we are there. This delusion that I'm alone, the delusion that I can do it on my own, should be completely discarded. The fact that we're all standing on somebody else's shoulders, that again comes, as I said, to end again. This comes when we align our teachings, we align our beliefs with the life that we actually lead. When it comes about, or comes as close as possible to it, I think that is the way that ethical methods become understood, internalized, and people realize that while striving is important, you cannot give up your health to get money. If that means losing your, that means living an unhappy, stressed out life. So I wish all the young people all the success. We need it. We need you for the sake of the country, for the sake of all sentient beings, not just all humanity. We need you to lead a good life. You are our future. I wish you all the best. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. With this, we are coming towards the end of our today's session. And now I would like to invite Dr. Amit